Assalamu alaikum students, welcome to today's explainer. I am honestly so thrilled you're joining me right now, because today we are going on a really fun detective mission. We are going to decode and solve everyday math puzzles using a secret weapon that you already know. Yep, fractions. That's right, we're diving into Oxford Mathematics to see exactly how these numbers leap off the page and into our actual daily lives. Here is our mission list for today. Fractions in daily life, weight and distance puzzles, bakery and budget challenges, the concert crowd mystery, and finally, our math takeaways. Now, I gotta ask, do you use fractions every day without even realizing it? Really think about it for a second. When you're sharing a pizza with your friends, figuring out how much further you have to walk, or calculating how much of your pocket money is left to spend on a quick snack, you are actively using fractions. They help us figure out weight, distance, and even our food budgets. I want you to start thinking of fractions not just as boring numbers stacked on top of each other, but as a literal hero's tool belt for solving real-world stories.
Section 1, Fractions in Daily Life, Everyday Math.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, Weight and Distance, Solving Puzzles.
Okay, let's look at our knowns and unknowns for this very first case. We know Sarah's weight is exactly 28 kilograms, right? And we also know her cat is 8 times lighter than she is. But we don't actually know the cat's weight yet. So our mission is to figure out the total combined weight of both Sarah and her cat. This sets up a classic two-part problem. We absolutely have to find the cat's weight before we can find the total.
So how do we solve this? Well, here is our path. Step 1, we take Sarah's weight, that's 28 kilograms, and we just divide it by 8 to find the cat's weight. 28 divided by 8, that gives us 3.5 kilograms. Okay, now for step 2, we just add them together. Sarah's 28 plus the cat's 3.5 gives us a grand total of 31.5 kilograms. Boom, case closed.
Let's move on to our next clue, and this one's all about Safi's cycling trip. So Safi rode his bike on Route A, which is 1 1/5 kilometers long. Then he tackled Route B, and this route is 1 1/2 kilometers longer than Route A. Our goal? Find out the total distance Safi cycled. To pull this off, we're going to have to deal with mixed fractions, but don't worry, they're literally just another type of code that we can easily crack.
All right, so to find the actual length of Route B, step 1 is converting our mixed fractions into improper fractions. It just makes the math so much easier. So 1 1/5 becomes 6 over 5, and that extra distance, the 1 1/2, that becomes 3 over 2. Now, step 2. To add these guys together, we absolutely need a common denominator. Looking at 5 and 2, our magic number is obviously 10. So 6 over 5 scales up to 12 over 10, and 3 over 2 scales up to 15 over 10. Finally, step 3. We just add those numerators. 12 plus 15 is 27, which gives us 27 over 10. Convert that back, and we find out Route B is exactly 2 7/10 kilometers long.
Now for the grand finale of Safi's trip. We need to add the length of Route A to the length of Route B to get the total. So we take Route A, 1 1/5 kilometers, and add Route B, which we literally just figured out is 2 7/10 kilometers. We can totally do this in our heads. Just quickly convert that 1 1/5 to 1 2/10. Got it? Add 1 2/10 to 2 7/10, and there's our final total. Safi cycled a super impressive 3 9/10 kilometers.
Section 3, Bakery and Budget, Math Challenges.
Okay, our next clue brings us to a local bakery's inventory. Imagine the smell. The baker has exactly 4 1/8 pecan pie sitting right there on the shelf. But for the apple pies, we get a tricky little clue. The baker has 2 3/4 more apple pies than pecan pies. Our mission here is to find out the absolute total number of pies in the whole bakery. Let's decode this step by step. First things first, let's find the number of apple pies by adding 4 1/8 to 2 3/4. Step 1, let's make those denominators match. We'll turn 3/4 into 6/8. Easy enough, right? Step 2, now we add 4 1/8 plus our new 2 6/8, which gives us exactly 6 7/8 apple pies. Okay, now for step 3, the big one, the grand total. We add our pecan pies to our apple pies. Let's do the whole numbers first. 4 plus 6 is 10. Now the fractions. 1/8 plus 7/8 is 8/8. And wait, that's exactly one whole pie. So 10 plus 1 gives us a nice clean 11 pies in total.
Next up on the docket, let's investigate Mohsen's allowance. The clue reads like this. Mohsen spends 5/8 of his allowance on food. Then he spends 1/3 of the remainder on a drink.
We need to figure out exactly what fraction of his total allowance he dropped on that drink. This one is fun because it requires us to play detective and figure out a fraction of a remainder. Sounds tricky, but we've got this.
Just imagine a whole circle representing Mohsin's total allowance. If he spends 5/8 of it on food, what's the remainder? Well, 1 whole minus 5/8 leaves us with a remainder of 3/8. Make sense? Now the clue told us he spent 1/3 of that remainder on his drink. So, what is 1/3 of 3/8? It's simply 1/8. So Mohsin spent exactly 1/8 of his total allowance on that drink. Honestly, when you track those fractions step by step, it's an absolute breeze.
Section 4. The Concert Crowd Mystery. Audience Numbers.
All right, picture this scenario for our final big case. A concert has a massive crowd, a total of 900 people in attendance. Of that whole crowd, 3/4 are children. And of those children, 2/5 are girls. The ultimate question we've got to answer here is, how many boys are at the concert? The real trick with a problem like this is just not to panic. We don't want to get overwhelmed. We just need to chunk the clues down and solve them one by one.
So let's break down this whole fraction of a quantity concept step by step. Step 1. Let's find the total number of kids first. What exactly is 3/4 of 900? We just multiply 3/4 by 900, which gives us 675 children. Okay, step 2. Now we zero in on just those kids. If 2/5 of them are girls, what fraction are boys? Think about it. We take the whole group of children, which is 1, and we subtract the girls' fraction, 2/5. 1 minus 2/5 equals 3/5. So we know 3/5 of the children are boys. Finally, step 3. We just calculate 3/5 of our total children, which we already figured out was 675. And when we calculate 3/5 times 675, boom, we crack the code. There are exactly 405 boys at the concert. You see what we did there? By breaking the problem down and finding the fraction of a quantity one step at a time, what looked like this giant scary mystery just became a totally solvable puzzle.
Section 5. Final math takeaways. Mission completed.
Let's quickly check off today's learning objectives, straight from Oxford Mathematics. We successfully decoded how to use fractions in real-life situations, proving they are literally everywhere. We figured out how to add mixed fractions easily. Just convert them to improper fractions and find that common denominator. We totally mastered finding a fraction of a total quantity. And honestly, most importantly, we learned that the big secret to solving word problems is just to take a deep breath and go step by step.
Bye students. Don't forget to subscribe for more fun math videos.